Thank you. Governor DeSantis now wants lawmakers to go back to Tallahassee later this month. The governor today calling for a special session to talk about illegal immigration and condo reform. Capitol reporter Forrest Saunders joining us live tonight outside the state legislative chambers. All right, Forrest, just within the last hour, lawmakers responded to the governor's call for a special session. What's the deal?
Well, a song comes to mind, which is times they are changing, because this is not the response that we're used to hearing from the Senate and House leadership, right? For the longest time, they've been in lockstep with the governor. If he wants them to jump, they ask how high. That is not what is happening here. In fact, in a statement that was released just about 30 minutes ago, they called this call for a special session premature, but they didn't stop there. They went on to continue saying that some of these goals are shared goals, that they want to do more in line with what the governor is hoping for during the regular session, which is about 50 days away. But they think the time to do that is the regular 60-day session. They think more time is needed to vet these ideas, and they're saying that essentially on immigration, the big goal of the governor, well, we haven't gotten any clearance or guidance from the White House yet on what to expect. And so they say it is just premature. But I want to recap for you what the governor said earlier in the day. Take a look.
Day one, America's next president has vowed the largest mass deportation program of undocumented in American history.
We have a responsibility to be in this fight.
And here in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis wants to be ready for a flurry of immigration executive orders from the White House. The Republican Monday calling on state lawmakers to come back to Tallahassee more than a month early, January 27th, and pass bills to assure compliance.
We are going to need legislation to impose additional duties on local officials and provide funding for those local officials. If those duties are clear in law, I have the authority with respect to certain officials to suspend them from their office if they are neglecting their duties. And that's a authority that I have invoked when it's been appropriate in the past.
DeSantis also said he'd back a repeal of Florida's in-state college tuition for undocumented, calling it an incentive for illegal immigration. It's a sentiment shared by the bill's sponsor.
And it gives human traffickers, which is what the parents are, a reason to bring their children to Florida. We don't want illegal immigrants in Florida. Go somewhere else, and better yet, stay home.
Florida approved the tuition breaks in 2014, a bipartisan effort to help dreamers brought to the U.S. as children. It was even championed by Florida's current Lieutenant Governor, Jeanette Nunez, when she was a lawmaker.
Let's not hold these children responsible for actions that their parents took, something they had no control over. Let's allow for opportunities for all of Florida's children.
Beyond immigration, DeSantis wants a laundry list of other items. More hurricane aid for recent victims and prioritizing them for Florida's home hardening program. A crackdown on ballot initiative signature fraud and condo relief to address rising HOA fees, a symptom of a reform bill passed after the Surfside collapse.
It just seems to me that all of this is a stunt. It's an attempt to get attention. It's an attempt to maybe try to take some of the shine away from the president just after he's been inaugurated.
Florida Democrats in the House not buying it. The House Minority Leader questioned why property insurance wasn't included and immigration was.
Immigration is an issue that is resigned to the Congress. It's resigned to the federal government. You know, if he really wants to address these issues so bad, maybe he should go back to Congress.
Okay, so let's just recap things. The special session now sort of in limbo because the House and Senate leadership says that they are not on board. They are calling it irresponsible. They're calling it premature. And I want to leave you with this line from their statement. As the people's elected representatives, the legislature, not the governor, will decide when and what legislation we consider. That is a pretty bold statement and something that in my tenure here in the Florida legislature, we have never heard when it comes to the legislative leaders talking about Florida's governor.
Yeah, that's a different kind of tone that we have not heard before, Forrest. By the way, has anything like this ever happened before? You know, you just said you haven't heard that kind of tone, but in terms of the special session and being essentially denied, if that is actually how this plays out?
So here's how it works. Basically, the governor has the power to call a special session. He can force lawmakers to come back to the Capitol and address some certain issues, but they are not forced to actually legislate anything. He can't force them to pass bills. So the last time something like this happened, where the lawmakers were essentially brought back against their will, was in like 2010 after the BP oil spill. Then Governor Charlie Crist asked lawmakers to come back to address offshore drilling. They did not have an appetite to do so. So instead, what happened was they basically came back to the chambers, sat around for like 30 minutes, did nothing, and then went home. Now, if Governor DeSantis wants to move forward and actually have a formal call to bring lawmakers back, he can do that, but they don't have to legislate anything. They don't have to pass any bills at all. It could happen. It just depends on, in this game of political chicken, who is going to flinch first, and we'll have to wait and see.
Well, lawmakers not doing anything, also not a good look. Forrest Saunders, live in Tallahassee tonight. Forrest, thank you. President